Hello, all you purveyors of the propeller, to this episode of Hangar Talk. My name is Tom Thinnes, and once again, I'm coming to you from my very own Bronco basement. On this episode, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Patrick Denny. Patrick is a WMU alumni and a Delta Airlines employee where he's been since 2007. So without any further ado, let's get into it and join Patrick. All right. Well, great. Well, Patrick, thanks for joining us today. So I think to kind of get started with, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you share a little bit of background for us and all the people listening and watching us? Tell us a little bit about who you are and your experiences and things like that.
Sounds good. It's good to be here with you today. My name is Patrick Denny. I'm a 1998 graduate of the then School of Aviation Sciences. Came to Western in 1994. I grew up just south of Battle Creek, lifelong resident of the Battle Creek area. Went to Kellogg Community College in Battle Creek for 2 years and transferred over to Western and had a really great 3.5 years at Western. So I was able to cram a 4-year aviation degree into 5.5 years, as many aviation students do. Spent 2 years working as an instructor at Western, and then I was hired by Saab Airlines in 1999. Spent a number of years there. We eventually merged with Pinnacle Airlines, and then that became Endeavor Air. So after 14 years at that company, I was able to move on to Delta back in 2007. Been there a little bit over 6 years now.
All right, fantastic. So, you've seen some of the highs and the lows of the industry, and especially coming graduating in '98, and it was only a few years after that we saw September 11th, and what a lot of us then referred to as the lost decade of the 2000s in aviation. Aviation really found itself in a downturn. What were some of the challenges that you experienced in that time? What was it like?
I would say the challenges would be when things don't move as quickly as you want them to. Sometimes it can be very frustrating. However, with that being said, I've always been blessed to be able to do something that I truly enjoy doing. Every day I pinch myself when I get paid to fly an airplane. I truly love what I do. I've also been very blessed to work at really good quality companies. The people that I've worked with over the years have been wonderful, made a lot of friends, and those are the things that kind of help get me through some of the downturns. Basically, you just got to put one foot in front of the other and keep on trucking. We've kind of been lulled into a false sense of security, especially the students at Western now, because they've never really seen a downturn. And honestly, in my 20 years in the airline business, I've seen way more downturns than I have good times. So I've learned to enjoy the good times, and when the downturns come, just keep putting one foot in front of the other and try to get through it.
And that's great advice. I think, that's things that we all need to do at times, because we're all experiencing some of those downturns and everything right now. And, sometimes we just hunker down and we will move forward. But there's also a lot of great things that go on in aviation too. And like you said, it's hard to look down on those down times, because even then you're flying airplanes, and how cool is that? But what are some of the great memories that you have by coming to Western? And I always think of, like you said, you spent 5.5 years you jam-packed 5.5 years into a 4-year degree. And I always remember that great scene in Animal House when John Belushi says, 7 years of college down the drain. But college is truly a wonderful time. It's some of the best times that people have. What are some of the great memories that you have about being a Western student and also being an aviation student?
Sure. Well, I had a lot of great memories at Western. I was actually really privileged to come to Western at a time of great transition for the university, and specifically for the school then, or College of Aviation. I'm going to date myself a little bit here and say that I began at the old Kalamazoo facility back in '94, and it was nothing like what we have now. I was able to be here with the move to Battle Creek, and being a lifelong Battle Creek area resident, that was really special for me to see things change and to get into that facility in Battle Creek. I feel a little bit old in the fact of I was the first class through that facility, and we've already torn some of it down because it's old and outdated. So I guess that doesn't say a whole lot for me. But it's really exciting for me. I live just south of the airport, and I drive by the college a lot. I've been keeping pretty close tabs on the new building construction. Looks like it's going to be an incredible facility. So it was really fun for me to be part of that transition and for the move to my hometown, basically, and to see what Western became, and it's really not stopped from there. So great memories there. I was also part of the Sky Broncos flight team for my 4 years at Western. Great times there, a lot of success, culminating with the national championship in 1998. Still keep in touch with most of the guys on that team. Most of the guys and gals still have a lot of good friendships. And even the people that I worked with when I was an instructor at Western, I can go back there now, and there's a lot of familiar faces that I really enjoy catching up with and talking to. So all around, I had a wonderful experience at Western Michigan University.
That's great, and I think, when we talk to alumni and we go out there, aviation is a community. It's for being such a global industry, it's still relatively small, and the connections that you make, and I know in the Sky Broncos, it's just not the connection amongst the team; it's connections with teammates from our team members from other programs out there, and that ability to make that community is important, and that's a really great point. And then, what about some of the fun things that you've done at Delta? I mean, you're at Delta Airlines now and been there since 2007, correct?
Yes, 2007, really all the way through my career at the regional airline as well. It was just a lot of fun. I spent time as a check airman, which I would highly recommend anybody that gets into the airline business, any of our current students or people that are watching this, if you ever get the chance and you're offered that position, to do it, because like any type of instructor, you will learn way more than what you teach. And I learned a lot there, scared myself a little, really got to know the inner workings of the training department and some of the things that go on behind the scenes and why policies are made and things like that. That was an incredible opportunity. And many of the people that I worked with were fellow Western people. We started out as flight instructors in the little cubicle there in the terminal building, and some of them eventually became my bosses, crazy enough. So there's a lesson in there that you need to treat people that you go to college with well, because you never know when you're going to see them again.
Never burn bridges.
Never burn bridges, not in this business especially.
That's right. And so you talk about community and you talk about extracurricular activities, being a member of Sky Broncos, and how that then also build network and community. And then being a check airman in the airlines. But you've also now embraced another extracurricular activity with Delta Airlines, being part of the ambassador team for Delta Propel. And how did you get involved in that, and why?
Well, I think the conversation actually comes full circle, because the short answer to your question is connections that I made through the National Intercollegiate Flying Association and being part of the Sky Broncos. Basically, the people that you come into contact with, you never know what position they're going to hold down the road. They may be your boss. And basically, it was through those relationships where somebody called me and said, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this. We've known you for a long time, and we think you would, your skill set would work well." And that's what I've had a chance to do. And I really do feel blessed in the fact that I've been able to be part of a number of really incredible organizations, Western Michigan University being one of them, and Delta Airlines being the other. I think that in our fields, we're both the premier institutions with what we do, and I'm able to kind of wrap those relationships into one, and I can go back to Western as a Delta pilot, and I can talk to my peers at Delta as a Western Michigan University graduate. And that's really a fun thing for me, because I'm pretty proud of the brown and gold.
Well, we're proud of all of our alumni, especially you out there, repping us and keeping us out there current and in the thoughts of the aviation industry. So I know that we have a live virtual event, and you and another WMU alumni, Graham Bostrom, are going to be participating in our live virtual chat on Tuesday, August 4th at 6:30. So, want to tease us a little bit about what we might be able to hear and why we should be able to, or why we should join you for that live event, other than just getting to talk to you in person?
Sure, I would love to. One of the things that I wish I would have known more when I was at Western was more information from people that were a little bit ahead of me in the industry, to come back and kind of share some things that they learned, some perspectives, some things that I could watch out for, and some maybe mistakes to avoid. One of the things we're going to take, Graham and I have both been through numerous downturns. Between the two of us, we have over 25 years in the airline business. We've both seen good times. We've both seen bad times. And right now, the students are kind of been geared for the good times. And there's very drastic differences in how they should probably do things in the middle. There's not going to be 4 airlines fighting over them when they graduate anymore. Right now, they're going to need to differentiate themselves somehow. So when they graduate, they will be the ones that those airlines are going to be looking for when they do fill now very limited positions. So we're going to share some insights and things we've learned and things we've seen, how we survived the downturns on our own. And Graham's got a lot of stuff of really cool things that he did to kind of reinvent maybe the students as they graduate to enlarge their skill set and also to help them be competitive in the airline world that they're going to be going into that's drastically different than it was 6 months ago.
Yeah, I think if there's one constant in the last 6 months, it's change, and we got to get used to it. And I think that's going to go on for the next several months in advance. And so being knowledgeable and about the industry and thinking about what we have to, being aware of what we need to be conscientious about will be very beneficial. So the last kind of thing I'm going to leave or ask you is favorite airplane to fly.
You know, they say in aviation, when you're an instructor, there's the law of primacy. You know, the first thing you learn is maybe the best. I think still my favorite airplane to fly was my very first airliner, my very first jet, which was an Avro RJ-85 aircraft that I flew for Mesaba Airlines. I went right from flying Moonies, Cessnas, and Senecas for Western to flying a 4-engine jet, and it was a lot of fun. I can still remember at that time we had a level C simulator, so after we finished up our simulator work, they took us down to some airport in the middle of the night. We did touch and goes, and I can still vividly remember the first takeoff that I hit the auto throttle buttons, and I'm pretty sure the aircraft left me on the runway. And I had 7 years and 7,000 hours on that aircraft, and it was a lot of fun, and I still have a lot of fond memories of that aircraft. So that would probably be the one. But really, you know, aircraft are like people. Every aircraft has really good things about it, maybe a few quirks here and there. So you just got to embrace what you like and try to minimize what you don't.
That's great. Great advice. And well, Patrick, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to meeting both you and Graham live virtually. And again, that is going to take place on Tuesday, August 4th at 6:30 p.m. At the end of this, we will have registration information, so you'll be able to log in and join us for that. There are space for these events does tend to be limited, so we want to make sure that you register early and often. But again, Patrick, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you when we go live.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So once again, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Hangar Talk. I'd also like to express my sincere appreciation for Patrick Denny for spending some time with us and sharing some of his words of wisdom. Please plan on joining us on Tuesday, August 4th at 6:30, where you'll have an opportunity to engage with both Patrick Denny and also WMU alumni and current Delta employee Graham Bostrom. They will be joining us for a live virtual event where they'll be sharing some of their words of wisdom, their snippets of success, and also what you can expect from their experience in this current time in aviation. So thanks again for joining us on Hangar Talk, and we'll see you on the next episode.